Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And it's nice to be here for another session of AMA. We'll be here with you for about an hour. My name is Constable Prashnaраjan with the Uniform Recruitment Unit out of the Highway Safety Division. And my partner here, I'll let Natalie introduce herself.
My name is Instructor Natalie Strang, and I work out of the Provincial Police Academy.
Perfect. So we brought Natalie in here today because many of you have been asking about what happens after you get hired. What happens when you show up at the academy, and certainly what happens when you go to Ontario Police College and you come back for post training. So we have Natalie here that will be answering all those questions for you. For those of you joining us from all the different platforms, certainly we appreciate it. Thank you for the love there. Yeah, it's nice to be back. It's nice to be back. But certainly, we'll try to hit a lot of questions about recruitment events, hiring, and any specific questions that you have about what it takes to get hired with us. But before we go into some of the things, I want to do a few quick hits. So, as you know, Valentine's Day is coming up on Friday. So hopefully, those of you that have some plans, yes, Natalie, yes, you're shaking her head too. So that have some plans, make sure you execute those plans to perfection. But also in saying that, on Valentine's Day we have the auto show that opens up. So we have a massive setup at the Metro Toronto Convention Center for the OPP. For those of you that did stop by in the previous years, you know exactly how it is. Many of our recruiters will be there, and also you'll have officers, constables, auxiliary officers, cadets, and civilians there. So if you have any interest in any of the areas of policing that we're hiring, please do stop by. You'll get a really good opportunity to engage with members, to find out what it takes to hire and be hired for those positions. And certainly, you get to check out all the cool vehicles that we'll have on display. And we actually have a vehicle from True that will be displayed there. I don't know, Natalie, if you knew that, but we will have a True vehicle there that they utilize. So it's really really cool. I was there on Tuesday setting it all up, and I think it'll be certainly a big hit. So in saying that, I'll turn it over to Natalie. I'm just curious because today is the first day I'm kind of doing this session with Natalie, and this is the first time we're having her on. Maybe I'll give Natalie a chance to kind of explain, her path to policing, her path to the academy, and what she likes to do, what sports she seems like a hockey person to me. So I'll wait to see
I'm
what
a
she says. But
soccer
go on,
girl.
Natalie.
I'm a soccer girl.
Sure.
So thanks for having me. I was hired in 2008, and I did 16 years. Um, At a detachment. I worked out of the Bracebridge detachment, and in that role, I was given lots of great opportunities. I was a breath technician because I was pretty passionate about um, impaired related offenses.
Hmm.
Also, hey Dale, and I competed successfully for the provincial liaison team, and that's maybe not something a lot of people know about, but it came out of the Ipperwash inquiry, for a desire to have better communication with people, maybe
Right.
not necessarily in uniform. So
Right.
I have had lots of opportunity on the provincial liaison team to talk with stakeholders and utilize interpersonal skills as opposed to use of force options.
Right.
Um, Teaching is something I've always been passionate about, but I wanted to make sure that I I had something to give before I went into that role. So
Nice.
um, I wanted to be a good police officer before you could be a good teacher, and so I just recently transitioned into the academy, and have been here just coming up on a year, and
Nice.
it's something
So
I
you
enjoy.
so you would have probably seen about maybe 3 to 4 classes that you probably have gone through already, right? In terms of sending
For,
to
yeah.
4 classes.
Actually,
Okay.
actually, you were talking about Valentine's Day. So what I'm doing on Valentine's Day is we're going to give 118 new recruits their badges on Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's right. There's a grad this week, later on this week,
Grad.
right?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
you're going to be there. There you go. So
Yeah.
you'll be badging. There'll be badging ceremony there. So that's amazing. One of the questions that we also get asked is, what's the difference between the provincial police academy and OPC? Like, are they mandatory? What's the training like compared to what? Maybe if you can kind of break that down for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as an Ontario provincial police officer, and then also coupled with some of our Indigenous partners, we have 2-week pre-training program where you're going to come and we're going to outfit you in your kit, and there's going to be some initial training that occurs. Then you're going to go under the umbrella of Ontario Police College, and that's going to initially start on an online platform, and then it's going to move to in person, which is down at Ontario Police College. You need to successfully complete Ontario Police College and receive your basic constable training, and then you come back to the Provincial Police Academy, and that's where the real fun starts for 8 weeks. And that's more practical based training, and that's also something that you have to pass in order to make it to receiving your badge and becoming a police officer.
Right. So yeah, like you said, so it's a 13-week full program,
Mhm.
and obviously 3 weeks online that you do, and then 10-week in person. And for of the 10 weeks, you're obviously at 8 weeks at post training, post OPC training at the academy.
Mhm.
What are some of the things that you focus on when they do come back to the academy after OPC?
Yeah, I can't dive too much into it because that's part of the training. But when they come back to post training, it's more focused on practical skills, as well as there's a fitness component. Certainly, we want our officers to be fit and capable. The team that we have in the academy is made up of wonderful people who are all here because they want to see people succeed, and there's a lot of effort that goes into that training and that knowledge and that transfer of knowledge. When they come back to post training, it's more of a unique training opportunity where
Right.
you're really going to get like practically based
Right.
information, things that you're going to be able to transfer to when you go out onto the road.
Right. So you're kind of more focusing on the day-to-day life of an OPP officer that hits the road on the front line and what they'll be impacted with, like all the things that we use from the OPP perspective, from our C8s to our handguns, all the things that we focus on from our tasers and all that. So, um, and I do remember that in my time. Again, obviously, we're talking more than 10 years ago for when I went through, but certainly I felt when I was at academy, it was more like training that was more focused on how it would impact me as an officer when I hit the road. So I think that was really, really nice. And, when it comes to just touching back on what you said, OPC, there's no cost to it right now. So OPC is covered.
Mhm.
For those of you that don't know, it's covered by the provincial government. So there is really no reason for you not to apply if you're considering this career, I'd say. Um,
It's
the
pretty
other,
awesome. That wasn't the
yeah,
case for us.
no, I had
Well,
to pay.
I
Yeah,
had to
I
pay
had to pay.
too.
Oh, so Natalie, a question here. Lizzie is asking, how often do the new recruits participate in the fitness sessions at OPC? And you know what? We'll just extend that to PPA. Maybe you can answer that.
Yeah, certainly. In PPA specifically, like so at OPC, I wouldn't be able to give a
Right.
fulsome answer because
Right.
that's not where I'm based. I don't want to make things
Yeah.
up, but much like as you are applying for the position, there's an expectation to get yourself into a physical capacity, and then even after training, certainly you need to maintain that capability of being physically fit. And so there, as much as there are scheduled sessions for fitness, there's also an onus on the individuals that they're going to take that on themselves, and that's to ensure that when they move in onto the road and are in a capacity of being a police officer, that they're going to continue with that fitness. So in
Yeah.
the Provincial Police Academy, scheduled sessions can range from 2 to 3 times a week. However, there is that encouragement that you're consistently working out and consistently improving your physical capabilities. There's minimum standards, but I don't think that's something that you should aspire to. You should always aspire to much more than minimum standards.
And you know what? I think Natalie, me and you were talking off camera before we hopped on, and you obviously see firsthand when candidates show up to PPA in terms of their fitness
Mhm.
level, and as many of you know, when you go through the hiring process, we test you on the shuttle run, and we don't test you on the prep test. That's an onus that falls on you as the applicant to make sure you're ready for it. And we were talking about that, and some candidates do struggle
Mhm.
in passing the prep test. So if you had to give some sort of advice, Natalie, on that, how would you say they can prepare? Because we're not testing them on the prep at this point anyway. That might change in the near future, but how do you think they can prepare when they show up to academy, because they may pass the shuttle but they're not passing, or they're struggling with the prep?
So, I mean, the prep, the part of the prep is part and parcel that you're running that shuttle. So,
Right.
like the minimum standard is level 7. So, I would like if you are capable of running level 7 at the shuttle, you should be capable of not like being completely gassed. I would
Yeah.
suggest that you're able to run a little bit more than level 7 because you don't want to be gassed. You want to be able to confidently run to level 7. And then as far as the prep goes, there's some online opportunities where you can work up your capability of just
It's a work environment.
it's a
Things
work
are going on.
environment. um, so you want to work up your capability of strength training associated to the prep, and being able to continue for that minutes. But I mean, the prep isn't designed in a way that you shouldn't be successful if you have the
Strong
physical
fitness.
capabilities. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, people of all shapes and sizes are capable of doing it, but
Yeah.
you got to want to do it.
That's right. And you know what? I'll just extend beyond that. We're also looking at offering practice prep sessions. So we're in the works and doing that, and potentially we can offer that because we do currently offer shuttle run sessions that you can sign up and come for. But certainly, if we are able to offer that in the near future, we will. But you can also go to practice sessions at other police services, Toronto Police, Peel, Durham, York. They all offer practice prep sessions. So if you think you're going to struggle with that or you might have a hurdle with that, please sign up for those sessions and go do them and practice them because it'll kind of give you a realistic idea of where you stand
Mhm.
uh, on that test, right? And I'm just going to scroll back here, Natalie. I think the questions are starting to come in, and thank you. I appreciate the questions. At PPA, how often do you do the pin?
The pin test uh, is done at OPC, I
You guys are
believe.
okay. You're doing it at OPC now, okay? Um, and I'll touch on another question, a couple of
But
questions that
but you can do your pin if you're successful. You can do your pin test every year, and I would suggest that that's something that you should strive to want to do is that continued fitness. Once you just because you get the job doesn't mean that you should just stop being fit. So I would strive to do your fit pin every year.
Natalie, I think you'd be proud of me. I'm 13 years continuous from the first time I was hired with the pin.
Nice. I am proud of you. I'm also continuous, except for I took 1 year off when I was on parental leave.
So I don't know if you can answer this, Natalie. Prep at the Provincial Police Academy. Correct me if I'm wrong. You wouldn't do that at the Provincial Academy, would you? Or would that be done at the OPC, the prep
That's
test?
done at OPC as part
That'd
of
be
your
done
basic constable
as
training.
part of it. Okay, so that's the question there for those that was asking. You would have to pass that at Ontario Police College to get your basic constable training diploma there.
That's
Um,
correct. Yeah.
I'm just going to answer a quick question about injury. There was an can you still sorry hearing loss? Yes, I'll answer this. So Mark Andre was asking about this. So if you have a partial hearing loss, because as you know, there is a vision and hearing requirement that you must meet to be hired by any police service. And we have stated the minimum requirements on our website. You can go actually get those for vision and hearing. If you are concerned that you may have it, what I would suggest you do is get the standards, go see your optometrist or your audiologist, and have yourself tested to make sure you meet the standards. If you don't meet the standard, you can find out the severity of your loss. Your your audiologist should be able to tell you that. And based on that, if you still do apply, we will help send you to a specialist, a special audiologist that will be able to kind of figure out exactly what the parameters are for your loss, and if you meet that parameter, you will be eligible to still apply and continue in the hiring process. But if you have any specific questions about that, Mark Andre, you can just reach out to OPP Hire, and certainly myself or one of my colleagues will be able to answer that for you. Okay. And another question here: military right now in combat arms, about to go on to deployment. I'm just wondering if the experience helps a lot with transferring to the OPP. You know what? I'll pose that to Natalie. I'm sure she's gone through a lot of candidates that come through with military experience.
Mhm.
So in terms of what this candidate, potential candidate is asking, what do you think? Do you think that experience that they come with will be transferable to the OPP?
I think it is transferable. I mean, it would depend on your specific application and what things you can offer. I mean, I couldn't just blanketly say that
Yeah.
if you have military experience, then yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah.
However, certainly it's a piece of the pie. It's a piece of your application that I and maybe Prash can also talk about as a positive. It's not the only thing that we're looking for, but it's certainly
Right.
a positive.
Yeah, absolutely. I would totally agree with Natalie on that. Again, we're not looking for a cookie cutter type of a candidate or an officer. Any experience, and certainly military is no different. Any experience that you have that makes you who you are, we are certainly open to having you join the organization, because I think uh, the more different we are, the different experiences that we bring to the table, I think we enrich the organization as a whole. So certainly, if you have it, that's great. So military experience, I know a lot of good colleagues of mine that have gone through the military route, and they make excellent officers from the training that they get to the situations that they get into when they're deployed. So certainly, I would say definitely it's a positive thing. The other question here is about security guard. Can I apply to a police service after being a security guard? Absolutely. I used to be a security guard myself, and I felt that security experience really taught me the ability to engage with people from a customer service level, solving similar, issues, very small issues that really built up my confidence and my ability to communicate with people. So certainly, if you are in a security guard position, I certainly think it does help you hone your skills much better to get to a position where when you're a police officer on the road, and certainly Natalie was for about 15 years or so, more than that. I think it does translate. Maybe if you want to touch on that, Natalie.
Yeah, certainly. I always say that you want to be a really good police officer first, and if you have transferable skills where you're coming in, that you can utilize as you're learning how to be a police officer, that's obviously a benefit. But really, like coming into the career and wanting to be a really good police officer first is ideal. Like that passion, that excitement for the job, and part of the reason that I stayed so long on the road is because I really enjoyed being a police officer. I really enjoyed
Hmm.
being in the community, and I really enjoyed the work and how it changed, and it was different and it was exciting, and I really enjoyed putting in maximum effort
Yeah.
to bring out good investigations. And you really have to take pride in your work. So, uh, yeah, that's how I would answer that.
Well done. So Julie wants to know, Natalie, if minimum level 7 will ever change. I assume she's probably asking, will it go down to maybe 6? I know there's been rumors about this, but I'll let you talk to that.
I don't think so. Not at this point. I don't have any information that it's going to change at this point. And I'm not a very big police officer. I'm 5'4", and I'm going to
Neither
tell
am
you,
I. Neither
yeah.
am
See,
I.
and I'm going to tell you that I think that level of fitness needs to be at that level in order to ensure that we're attracting candidates and we're holding on to candidates that are both physically and mentally capable of doing the job. Because the thing about the shuttle run is it's more than just the physical capability, in my opinion. Your body is pretty amazing. If your mind tells your body to do something, it pretty much will. And I completed the dopey challenge, and most people thought that uh, that was insane because it was 5 kilometers on Thursday, 10 kilometers on Friday, a half marathon on Saturday, and a full marathon on Sunday. But it's really a mental thing, and it is similarly, you have to train physically, but in order to hit those minimum requirements of level 7, it's really preparing your body physically, but also preparing your mind mentally, and those are transferable skills
Yep.
to being a police officer.
And the level 7 is not just picked where me and Natalie threw a dart on the board, and whichever number it landed on, that's where we picked it. There's a study behind it. There's a reason why you, as a candidate and as a police candidate, we expect you to hit that based on what Natalie talked about, from a mental preparation, from the ability to beat your mind to get to it. Certainly, there's many studies that went into why they chose this. Okay, but at this point, it's level 7. But certainly, if it changes, we'll certainly let you know. And I think Julie had a follow up question on that. We do practice shuttle run sessions throughout the province. All you have to do is just go on our website and look at our outreach sessions, and we'll show you when and where. And you can just sign up. It's free, and certainly you can attend. And depending on if you live in a area where there's municipal services that offer that, you can certainly go there and do that too. And the other question I had here, about payment. I guess we all want to know if we're getting paid while we're in training. Is that something you can talk to Natalie?
Yeah, the OPP does offer payment when you're going through recruit training, and continues through, and as you complete different levels, your payment salary changes. So certainly it's a blessing, and food's expensive. When we're in training at Provincial Police Academy and at Ontario Police College, your meals are also covered. So that's an
There you
extra
go.
benefit.
Yeah, you know what? I had to pay for OPC. I'm sure Natalie did too. So
I
it's a
did.
lot different now. How do you become an instructor at the OPP, Natalie? This person wants your job before they get the
Before
frontline
they even
jobs.
become a cop. Well, I would suggest if they want to become an instructor at the OPP, they should learn to be a really good police officer first, and then they can go from there.
Is OACP required? No, we do not require OACP certificate to apply to the OPP. I know some municipal services do. If you do have it, great. You can submit that as part of your application, but it is not a requirement for you to apply to the OPP. Can I get a hat? You mean this one? No, you have to be an officer to get that. So if you become an officer, you can get that one.
Or you could buy hats at the off duty shop if you want to support. You can't get Prash.
Yes, that's a good point. You can get it at the OPP online shop there. Um, Scott's great to see OPP taking the time to build knowledge of the career and support those with the desire and drive for policing. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. The other question that I want to ask Natalie, we constantly get our courses in terms of, and Natalie, maybe you can speak to this from a frontline perspective too.
Hmm.
What sort of courses are unique to the OPP, or what sort of special courses do you dive into during training for the recruits?
Man, that's a really cumbersome answer.
Okay,
um,
keep it nice and compact
I'll
then.
try. Certainly, on the recruit standpoint, there's courses associated to just practically how to be a police officer and how to effectively be a police officer. And and those can range from, simply handcuffing and searching, because if you haven't done that, you're not going to know how to do that. How to properly fill out your notebook, how to do proper reports. And then they transition also into Indigenous awareness training and diversity training. And all kinds of things in between there, and lots of practical things. And then, as an experienced officer, and once you're on the job, depending on what your desires are or your interests are, there is such a broad scope of courses and things that you can specialize in. I mean, I don't think either one of us could really talk about the entire course calendar at in detail, because there's
Yeah,
just so much opportunity. But certainly, if I had the opportunity of becoming a breath tech. I was a snowmobile operator, which was fantastic. The Queen would give me her snowmobile, and I could drive it around and not pay insurance, because the Queen was paying the insurance. So, I mean, there's lots of different things that you can specialize in, lots of different courses.
yeah,
I was able to go on an ice water course where I jumped in cold water with all my equipment on, and
yeah.
the Indigenous awareness training, which was
That's a
really,
good one.
really
I really like that
interesting.
one. I like
Yeah,
that
me
one.
too.
That was really
Um,
good.
and really good, like, team building. So there's a lot of opportunity. It just depends where you want to put your focus.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's so many courses. Like I said, I'd be here talking about some of the courses I went in. One of the things, the media course was really good. There's so many courses. I think we have so many, Natalie. I agree with you.
Mhm.
Question from Ebbets here about experienced police officer. So if you're a current police officer in any part of the country, you can certainly apply to the OPP as an experienced police officer. You have to be an active member, or if you were a member in the past 2 years. So essentially, if you did resign or leave a service, as long as it was within the 2 years, you're eligible to apply. So it looks like you're from Quebec. So I assume you're talking about you're an officer there. You would be required to do a basic constable training equivalency exam. Essentially, since you did not apply from this province, you would be able to do that. But as long as you're in good standing, certainly I would encourage you to submit your application online. We are accepting applications for the experienced police officer program, and certainly I wish you all the very best through it. And if you go onto our website, we have exactly a breakdown of exactly what that process is. Okay. So thanks for that question. Cadet, yes, we're actively hiring for cadets. So The other thing thank you for asking that question. The other thing I wanted to talk about, yes, we're here talking about the policing program and how to be a police officer, and we're thankful for Natalie to share some of the info. But we have so many other opportunities within the organizations that you can apply for, right? Cadet programs, special constables, auxiliaries. We have civilian programs such as the Provincial Communication Center dispatchers that we hire for. So there's a lot of positions that we hire for, and it just gives you other opportunities to go if you're not interested, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're not interested in being a police officer, certainly you can still work for the organization in other capacity. So please have an open mind to it, because we're actively hiring for all those positions too. And most times I find people getting into those positions, they get to see what the organization's like, they get to interact with officers and see what their line of work is, and sometimes they do get encouraged by that to apply and become a police officer. That does happen too. So certainly, I would say so. Anything to add on that, Natalie?
No, I think you nailed it.
Perfect. So the other question here, I find level 7 easy. However, the stress is in the moment of doing the run to make me perform less. Okay. Yeah, I think maybe Natalie she's probably seen examples of that in person when they show up at the academy. Maybe how would you deal with that, or how would you prepare for that, Natalie?
Again, that's like just training your if you're telling me that you're physically capable and you find the physical piece of it easy, then that's just like a mental. You're going to have
Mental
to
thing.
train that mentally, and again, that's something that you're going to want to be able to transfer over into a policing world. You want to be able to train your mind mentally, because sometimes we go into scary situations and you have to be able to calm your body down and figure out what you're going to do in that situation and make a decision, because the answers aren't always there. You're there, everybody's looking to you.
Yeah.
So just training that mental capacity of recognizing that there's a task at hand and I'm going to be able to complete that task. I won't go huge into it, but there's lots of mindfulness training that you can do. You can work on meditation. Something that is super easy, like that you can do in the moment, even before the shuttle run stops or starts. I do when I'm stressed, I go up, I breathe in on the up, I breathe out on the down, and I do that all 5 fingers. And it's that tactile, but also that breath. And you'd be surprised. I encourage all of you to do it right now so that you don't think that I'm being crazy. And all of a sudden, your heart rate comes down, your breath comes down, and you just be able to focus a little bit more. So, those are some of the
And
skills that I would suggest.
that's awesome. And Natalie, you probably know this person because they were probably in when you trained them, and I certainly remember them. Do you remember Peter Shipley?
I do. Yes, I do.
So
So,
he just typed, he said, "Great job, Natalie and Prash. Well done. Fitness is important." Thank you, Peter. Nice to hear from you. So
nice to
Peter
hear from you,
Shipley,
Peter.
yeah, Peter Shipley
Yeah, he's a
was one
great
of
guy.
my training instructors when I was going through the academy and all that. So it's really really nice
I was
to see
terrified of
him
him.
and share
Just
the.
get in the van. You can make the pain stop. Get in the van.
Thank you, Peter.
It's different
Okay.
now. It's nicer now.
It was good times. So yeah, no, thank you, Peter. Thank you for joining and sharing that comment. Um, Moving on here, and thank you. I appreciate the questions. It really does kind of help us talk about the things that you're interested in, and certainly kind of touch on things that we want to share with you. Question about going to Aurelia. Do we do the prep test as well as the shuttle? Uh, so I think Natalie touched on that earlier. You do both as a part and parcel as part of your BCT program at Ontario Police College. That's where you would do it to obtain your BCT. Is that correct, Natalie?
Yeah, that's correct. Once
Um,
you're at Ontario Police College, you're going to do the prep and the shuttle run.
Okay, yeah, perfect. There you go. Volunteering. Does having volunteering experience or being a OPP volunteer help your application? I'd say absolutely. That is actually one of our areas of assessments that we look at when you submit your application. We have 10 different areas of assessments that we assess you on, and certainly being involved in your community and showing your volunteering experience is one of them. I certainly had that experience. I assume Natalie would have also.
Mhm.
And it's a way for us to see how your commitment to community is, because when you join this career, that's exactly what you're doing. You're getting involved in the community, you're serving and protecting the community. So that is something that we look for. Anything to add on that, Ali?
Yeah, and it's something that's good for your being as well. It's something that's encouraged even after you're a uniformed officer to continue to volunteer. I actually I'm a soccer coach, and it's something that's really rewarding to give back to the community. And people usually generally go into policing because they have a desire to help other people, and so to keep up that volunteer work and certainly do that volunteer work before, those are the kind of people that we want to be attracted to policing.
Perfect. Uh, Question about information sessions. Yes, so we have information sessions throughout the province, virtually and in person, and certainly in the GTA, we will be having upcoming information sessions. Please go on our website, and you'll see all the dates listed. You just have to sign up. It's free to attend, and it kind of gives you a chance to kind of come and meet a recruiter and maybe talk or ask them questions maybe you are thinking about, but want to know exactly what to do about maybe a specific question. So certainly, I would really, really highly encourage you to join. And even if you don't or not available to come in person, certainly join our virtual sessions. We do offer that also. Auxiliary training. So if you are an auxiliary with either the OPP or any other police service, certainly that experience will make you a competitive candidate because of all the experience you get in that platform. As an auxiliary officer, you get to go on ride-alongs with officers. You get to take part in community events. So you really get to see the day-to-day role of a police officer, which really prepares you for the position itself, and you know what you're walking into. So certainly, I would say it does help. And if you're interested in kind of understanding what the process is, certainly come out to the auto show starting on the 14th. We will have auxiliaries there every single day. You can actually engage with one and try to understand what they do on a day-to-day basis. Okay. Anything you want to add to that, Natalie, or
No.
no? Pretty good. What do you do to apply to the OPP? First thing you got to do, just go on opp.ca/careers and you start your application. We've kind of gone away from the paper application where we have a more of an online format now. You would go on, you would create your online profile, and you can take your time. There's no rush because your online profile is essentially you can complete it as you want. So you would go on, start filling out all the required documents that we ask for, put it all together, and it'll show you whether your application is 100% complete. If something's not complete, it'll actually flag it and let you know which parts of the applications are missing. So you're able to go and work through it. And once it's 100% complete, you can submit it, and then that will get you in to the hiring process. The first stage of the process is application submission, and then at that point, we will review your application and look for all the minimum requirements to make sure that you meet it. And then obviously, if you are competitive, we will move you on to the next stage of the process, which is the fitness testing stage, where you have to be able to show us that you're able to get a level 7 on the fitness test. And after that, if you're successful, you'll be moving on to the interview stage. Currently, we conduct our interviews virtually, so you'll be speaking to an interviewer, a recruiter such as myself, and we will have a one-on-one conversation just like me and Natalie are having with you. It's meant to be a very engaging and informative session. We want to get to know you. We want to get to understand why you want to choose this profession, and kind of get to know a bit about you. So that's how that goes. And if you're successful at the local focus and essential competency interview, and we only have one interview that we do because it's both rolled up into one, certainly you move on to the psychological assessment phase and the background investigation stage. And if you're successful, guess what? Somebody will be calling you. It won't be me and Natalie. You'll see Natalie at the training. You'll see me at the graduation. But one of our employment coordinators will be calling you. And do you remember your call, Natalie, when you got it?
I do remember my call.
What were you doing?
Oh, I
Were you
remember what the
home? Were
girl
you at work?
said. I don't actually remember where I was.
Yeah.
I'm old now. I was 21 when they called me.
But can you kind of? I guess you kind of recall the feeling, though, no? Don't you?
I remember the feeling. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember yeah, like not to be a baby, but I remember welling up and having a couple tears, and
Yeah.
you'd worked really hard for that moment and that call, and then it
Yeah,
was there.
so I agree. I was home. I was home, and at that point, all you're doing is waiting now for yes or no, right? Like everything is done, so you're
Yeah.
just waiting to find out if you're getting in or not. So I remember getting this call, and I was home. I was off work that day, and yeah, she called me. Lisa Jennings, that was her name. Lisa calls me, and she's like, "Hey, this is the interpreter, please." I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" She's like, "I'm good. I'm good. What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just home." And she's like, well, I have some news I want to share with you. And then my heart's pounding. You know what I mean? My heart's pounding. But yeah, she says, congratulations. We want to give you an offer. And I was so overcome with emotion. I had like tears going down my cheeks, and nobody was home. I didn't even have anybody I can hug or cry with. My wife was at work, but yeah, it was such an amazing feeling because I, like you said, I worked so hard. I really, really wanted it, and to get that call to we're talking like more than 13, 14 years ago now, but get that call, it was such an amazing feeling. And I still get goosebumps sometimes when I come into work and I'm putting on my uniform and I'm looking at myself, oh my god, I can't believe I'm doing this. And it's such a surreal feeling. So yeah, so walking down memory lane there. So but yeah, so that's how it works. Getting back to some of the questions here. Wow, so many questions. Sorry, y'all, we kind of lost track here, so I'll try to get back to some of the questions here. And
Reminisced.
yeah, reminisce. But yeah, thank you for the questions. Thank you. I'll get back to here. um I think that OPP may or should open at Bangkok, Thailand, because many people don't have a job. I think that maybe I can pitch it to my inspector. Maybe we can go do an information session there. I think that'd be a really good one to go do an info session. Maybe get them to apply here. Um, what courses or education certificates are great to put on the application? I don't want to limit by saying this is what you need, because, like I said at the start, and certainly I think Natalie would attest to it. I think any sort of experience that you have from education training perspective, how like whatever the variety is, I think certainly it will make you a strong candidate. Because as I mentioned before, we're not looking for a cookie cutter type of an officer or a candidate. We want people with different experiences that they can bring, which will enrich obviously our organization and your experience in our organization. So certainly anything that you think would improve your knowledge and perspective, it's a great one. um Question about recruits spouse being due to give birth while they're at OPC or PPA. Do they get time off for birth? You want to tackle this one, Natalie?
um, Certainly, so I mean, if it's a pre-planned birth, a cesarean section, for example, then obviously that's easier to mitigate and provide that time off. However, if it's more of a natural birth, and it'll be dependent. I want to be honest with you. I mean, if you are living, if you're from way up north and you're attending Ontario Police College in London, that opportunity to get back, there it might be more challenging, but certainly we're an organization that supports family and family commitment. So it's, as much as we are capable, we'll try and ensure that you're there to support your spouse and have that moment of the birth of your child.
Yeah, no, well said. I agree. I think we're not heartless in our organization. I think certainly we'll work with you, especially a milestone of that magnitude. I honestly believe the academy will work with the candidate if they're in that predicament. I think certainly the birth of anyone's child is a time that they don't want to miss, and we understand that. I certainly think they will accommodate and make arrangements, especially if they can. So certainly we'll leave you with that. How do you become a canine officer? I think we'll hold that for the next time when I have a canine handler on our session, because I think that would be a we'll be diving into a rabbit hole with that one.
Work on being
Um,
a really good cop first.
yes, let's go back to that one. That's right.
Yes, please.
Um, Prep certificate. So if you have a prep certificate from a private entity, you can certainly submit that with your application. That's great to know that you're capable of passing it, but you would still have to do the training at OPC and pass it and show them that you're able to do that. And 1 year deferrals applies to any part of the stage. So if you are deferred or declined at any part of the hiring process, that 1 year applies to each of that stage. Okay, it's not based on picking and choosing when it is. Okay. Um, Moving up here, the cadet class. I don't have a class yet, but certainly when we are accepting applications for the cadets, we will let you know. We will post it all over our social media and our platform, so that way you can go in and submit your application. But certainly, if you go onto our website opp.ca/careers and you understand what the process is, when we do open it up, you're able to understand what you need to do. Okay. Um, Reflections inside the OPP podcast is very helpful, has a lot of information as well as hearing from folks from all different avenues of life who became an OPP officer and what they have done in the policing career. I highly recommend it. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate that. So certainly shedding light on that. Yes, we do have an OPP podcast. through recruitment that we do. And certainly, as Jimmy said, a lot of officers from different walks of life come on there to share their experiences. So, if you're on the fence about this profession, or whether this is the profession for you, that's a great way to get firsthand information on it, for you to kind of make your decision on whether you want to apply or not. Okay, so yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Jimmy. Does having a skills trade background, like being a machinist, add value to an OPP applicant? I have voluntary experience, but not sure if I should go to police foundations and programs as my background in this trade. Ali?
Yeah, sorry, I've lost track of where we're at here. I was trying to keep up with the
Do you want
questions.
me to, do you want me to read that one to you again, or?
Yeah, are we at the top? I was just reading the one about the injury. Are we
Uh,
past that
Oh,
one?
we're past that. Yeah, yeah, we're past. We're all the
Okay.
way up on the one. I've just kind of answered a few questions as I went through, but I'll read this one to you again. I'm not sure if you see it there. Does having a skilled trade background, like being a machinist, add value to an OPP applicant? I have voluntary experience, but not sure if I should go back to doing a police foundations program, because my background is in trades and not law enforcement. I think that's what he's meaning.
So, I mean, we kind of touched on it beforehand. It's not a cookie cutter approach. There's not like a specific education or to definitely go back to police foundations. People can gain life experience and be really great candidates and have never had any sort of post secondary or post secondary specific associated to policing. So it would really be dependent on what you bring to the table as associated to your application. However, it sounds like you bring some life experience with being a machinist.
Yeah. And Natalie, I think maybe you can answer this. 4 times a year, training happens, but Carla wants to know, what are the months of the year that training starts? Like, when do you take in students at the academy, and then how it goes from pre OPC and then post. Maybe you can kind of go into that.
I mean, it changes slightly based on the calendar year, based on holidays and how training falls. It's not absolute every annual block, so there is a slight change on when it would be.
Perfect. So there you go. So you'll have, like, from a recruitment perspective, certainly I can speak to the 4 times that we try to get classes in. So we'll try to get classes in January, then 3 months after that, April, and then obviously in the summertime, and then September. So we will try to do every 3 months. We're getting ready for a class intake, and certainly their intake from the general patrol training may shift a little bit, but certainly every 3 months we are putting a class of 115 plus to be trained at the Interior Police College. So, we're hiring 365 days a year. So if you are interested, certainly I would say get your application in, and certainly it would give you the opportunity to get hired within. And we're hiring in fast paced timing. And every 3 months, it's not a long time. It's a very short time when you really think about it. And we're putting applications and applicants through. So certainly, if you're interested, go ahead. How does the OPP analyze credit checks? So there is a part in your background investigation that does go over your credit history. So during the interview, we actually do dive into this when you're going through your interview process, but we get more into it when you're at the background investigation stage. And I'm not going to get too specific into it because it changes depending on your background investigator and what your information that you share when it comes to your credit history. But certainly rest assured that we do look at your credit dealings and how you manage money, because it is a very important aspect of what we're looking for in people, and being responsible and doing with their money. So certainly we'll look at that. Just looking at glancing through a few more questions here. We're almost at 2:45, so maybe another 15 minutes. If I missed your questions, I do apologize. I'm just trying to make sure we hit all the questions, but certainly if I do miss it this time, I hope to catch it the next time um, we come up. How is the final designation of your detachment, I guess, determined? Is it a common that two parts, or you definitely might go to where you need to? Okay, so I assume you're talking about how you're deployed. So when you're going through the hiring process, you get to actually pick 6 detachments that you would like to be posted in. So certainly, you get to pick from any detachment across the province that you want to be posted in. And from the six that you pick, we will offer you one of the six that you pick. So, your first choice, second choice, you'll rate them from your first choice to the sixth choice. And certainly we'll try to give you one of them. If there's a chance, maybe the one of the your number three choice is not available, we'll try to offer you the number. We always try to offer you your first choice. If your first choice is available and there's a spot there for you, we will certainly offer you that. If number one's not available, now we go to number two, and so on and so forth till we get one that we're able to give. If in the unlikely event that all six choices that you picked are not available, and then we send you to South Porcupine as a default. No, I'm kidding. No, we don't do that. We don't do that. We'll,
But in actuality, we do need people in the north, and there are a lot of really great incentives to going north.
yes,
So if
yes,
that's a possibility for you, if you're young, if you don't have
yes.
things tying you to a specific community, the opportunity to go north is huge. And in some detachment areas, there's housing available, and there's incentives available. So having an open mind of potentially where you might get posted is certainly important. And if you can go north, there are some things that make it more advantageous for you.
Natalie, you're the best. You're the best. Yeah, I wanted to. I totally forgot to talk about the north. So that totally is right. So we actually give you a financial incentive to go
Hmm.
up north. So if depending on if you pick one of the detachments that fall in the northeast region or the northwest region, there is a financial incentive for duration posting that we offer. Certainly, like Natalie said, we depending on which detachment you pick in the north, we will offer you housing, accommodations, and things of that nature, and you really truly get to experience a different part of the province and a different way of living and policing in some of these places. So if you're open to that and you want to experience something totally, totally different and not the 401 gridlock, certainly I would say you would have a chance to do that. But yeah, so certainly we will try to offer you one of the six, and if the six are not available, we will come back and work with you and kind of see what else you're open to and maybe ask you to pick three more or whatnot so we can give you something that you want. We're not going to randomly just post you wherever you want. We're going to actually offer you the job and tell you and work with you to see if you like it. Okay. um
If I can just jump in real quick, I
yeah,
just saw
please
one
go ahead.
person's comment.
Yeah, please go ahead.
First of all, I'm sorry that you're dealing with an intimate partner violence situation, and I wouldn't suggest that you hold off your application until the case comes to a close. If you're the victim in that situation, again, I'm sorry that that happened to you, but that shouldn't interfere with your career dreams coming true because of somebody else's actions. So I would encourage you to put your application in, and I hope that the case goes smoothly. And I'm sorry that that occurred to you.
Thank you, Natalie, for addressing that. Natalie, one question here from Lizzie. How did you find going through the academy as a female?
I I think it's a mindset. I think that you can. I personally played sports, and I'm pretty outgoing, and so I really enjoyed my time going through the academy. I made a lot of friends, and I didn't feel that there was any barrier, or a specific difference being a female. The fact of the matter is men and women are just made up differently, and we have to figure out how to utilize your individual strengths and weaknesses in order to be successful in whatever you would choose for your endeavors. So the same applies in policing. As a female, you utilize your strengths and weaknesses, and you learn and you adapt, and you work as a team. That's something really amazing about the organization, is that we are a team. And I'm pretty fortunate to work with some wonderful female police officers, but also equally as fortunate to work with a lot of male police officers. And there isn't that that biased, or there shouldn't be that biased based on gender, sexual orientation, religion, race. There shouldn't ever be a bias. It should be just that we're a team and we're working together for a common goal. So I had a great experience in the academy, and I hope that if you get there that you have one too.
That's amazingly answered. I totally echo what Natalie said, and I think my experience certainly with academy side, yeah, you get to meet a lot of wonderful individual males and females, and you work as a team to resolve a lot of issues. You have to, otherwise you won't be successful as a unit. So certainly, I think it's a very enriching experience, whether you go through the hiring process or even when you go through the academy. And I truly echo that. I felt that when I went through it also. I think Ryan had a question about learning disability. Um, when you're going through the hiring process, if you do have a learning disability, certainly we will accommodate to help you with it. But certainly, depending on what position, if it's a police officer position or if it's some other position that you're going through, there are different requirements you must meet for that specific job spec. So you have to meet those requirements. But certainly, we will, if you have a learning disability, we will help you with it, because we are an employer that will help engage you in that process or whatever you need to get that done. Um, Thank you for the questions, everyone. I know we're under 10 minutes here. I'm going to try to see if I can get to many more. But like I said, we do our AMAs regularly, so hopefully, if I did miss it, it's not on purpose. But certainly, we'll be able to address it. And if you do have a specific question that that you did want to get to one of the recruiters about, please email us at uniformrecruitment@opv.ca, and certainly, I will. Hopefully, if it's not me, one of my colleagues will be able to get back to you. Okay. Um, who actually makes the decision when you're in final decision? Is it the matter of a recruiter? No, it's not one person that makes a decision on a file. The file actually goes through multiple checkpoints, from a sergeant, staff sergeant, inspector to a superintendent to an HR level. So there's no one person that makes decisions on a file. Because that would be that would not be fair, actually. So there's a lot of checks and balances that are in place when a file goes through each part of the hiring process. So that way, it's properly assessed and fairly treated. Okay, so just so you know. How long does the background check take? It varies depending on your file. Some people's file are very straightforward. It could be done in a couple of weeks. Some people's files could take 2 to 3 months. So it totally depends on what your file is all about. Like somebody that worked 2 jobs compared to somebody that worked 15 jobs, you can understand the background investigator would have a lot more time following up on someone that worked 15 jobs compared to 2 jobs. So there's a lot of things like that come into play when you have an individual file that's being assessed. My parents drop me. When my parents drop me off, will they be able to help me move into my dorm? Natalie, I'll let you answer that one.
Well, um, maybe work on creating some life skills so that you can drop yourself off to move into the academy residence. It's a little bit different than post secondary when you come to the academy. So,
Yeah.
uh,
And I assume, this person's asking about, when they probably moved into college or university, when they get dropped off by their parents. But this one's a bit of a different case in the PPA. But don't worry, you know what? Natalie will be there, and she'll be able to give you a hand, kind of point you in the right direction of where to go and which door to go settle in. So I'm sure Natalie will be good with that one. Question here. Um, I moved countless times over the course of the last 10 years, not always changing my address as I did not stay long enough. How do I articulate and explain this? And that's exactly how you would articulate it. You would have to articulate what the reasons were why you moved. And maybe if you didn't change your address, what happened? Why was that? Was it because you were living partially in one place but working somewhere else, so you drove back and forth? So there's always reasonings for why you did what you did, and that's what we're looking for, as to the reasons behind it. As long as you're honest and truthful and articulate, certainly I think you can address it. Can a foreigner join a police service in Canada? Good question. So you have to have minimum requirements that you need to meet. So you have to be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. There are actually many officers that I've met that have had policing experience in many parts of the world, but they would still have to be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident to apply. So certainly, if you are currently living in Canada, as a permanent resident, certainly you're eligible to apply. But if you're in the process of getting your paperwork for citizenship, certainly you would have to wait before you can apply. And if you're joining us from any parts of the world, Certainly, I hope you do consider applying to us, but certainly you would have to meet that qualification, which is in place right now. Okay, 5 minutes, Natalie. So we blew through the hour very quickly. I didn't. You probably didn't expect that. Oh, Natalie, the EPO training question, is that something that you're able to talk about on the academy side? The
How
experience.
does
What
experienced
is the?
officer
Yeah.
training differ from new recruit training while in Aurelia? Is there physical assessment components such as runs? Um,
We will defer that one because
yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, Natalie. Because Natalie looks after the general patrol training for new recruits, whereas the experienced police officer training falls in a different section
falls
of
on the
her
senior
unit.
side. Yeah.
Senior side. So what I'll do is certainly we will have somebody from the senior side join us. But if you do have a specific question like that, please do email us. Then certainly I can get that information to you. Um, and you know what? We actually did an experienced police officer AMA, which is on our YouTube channel. So if you actually go to our YouTube channel, you'll see our past sessions that we did, and there is an experienced police officer channel there. Thank you, Victoria. Question here: laptop. Are you required to have a laptop for training at PPN Academy? You have to bring your own laptop, Natalie.
So initially for the online, they individuals do have their own laptops. In between that kind of hybrid between pre and actually physically attending Ontario Police College, there is usually a requirement to have a laptop there. However, we do have laptops that we issue from the academy. So if that was something that was cumbersome for that person, we could likely fill that void.
There you go. Social worker. If having 11 years of social work experience, is that good? Is a chance to work in the particular field? Absolutely. I think if you have that experience, you're already dealing with some of the things that we deal with as a frontline patrol officer. And I know some of our detachments actually have social workers that work alongside our police officers when they respond to calls. So if you're interested in being a police officer and applying that skill set, or if you're looking to apply to the OPP as a social worker, certainly both avenues I would say are available to you. Let me wrap up here. You know what? I'm going to wrap up there. So I'm going to give Ashley Natalie a couple of minutes just to wrap her thoughts and maybe share exactly some words of advice for those that are looking to apply and certainly coming into the academy and going through. So Natalie, go ahead. Floor is yours.
Nothing like putting me right on the spot, eh? Again, I would just reiterate that fitness component. You want to be capable of doing a good job at the job, and there's lots of opportunity in the OPP. But again, I want to just reiterate that. You want to be able to be a good police officer first and focus on being a good police officer. And that should be the interest in being a police officer. And then recognizing that there's specialties, but initially you're going to be that police officer that wants to be a part of a team, be a part of an organization, and do a good job. And I would highly suggest that if you have further questions, I know that Prash has there's more opportunities to speak to recruiters and take advantage of the opportunity that he spoke about at the beginning, where you can attend the auto conference on Valentine's Day and have a conversation and see uh, what your capabilities are. But just that internal desire to help people and that internal desire to do a good job, those are the kind of candidates that are the ones that we would aspire to have come into the organization. Because I don't know, I'm sure Prash would probably agree with me, but as part of the organization, you become very close and very close with each other. And so when he's hiring somebody or when I'm training somebody, so one of my mindsets is I'm putting that person out there with people who I care about and I love, and I want to make sure that they do a good job and that we all come home safe.
Awesome. I love that. I love you touched and wrapped it up that way. No, I appreciate that. And I want to thank Natalie for taking the time out of her busy day to come join us. And certainly, hopefully, we can have Natalie back again because certainly she was great. I saw the comments there of what they thought. So I appreciate you, Natalie, for taking the time. And just to wrap up on what Natalie said, so we're going to be at the auto show at the Metro Toronto Convention Center in downtown Toronto starting February 14th, which wraps up on February 23rd. As I said before, you'll have recruiters there. You'll have all different positions of people in our organization, from cadets to auxiliaries to special constables, and you'll have different officers there with different specialties and experiences. So it's a great platform to come meet and see what we do and talk to us and engage with us, and certainly come check out some of our vehicles that we have. We have amazing setup lineup of vehicles there, and certainly I will be there too. So if you have any recruitment questions or anything you want to talk about, certainly let us know, and I hope to see many of you there. Even if you're there not to see us, just come enjoy the show. It's a great event. You'll see amazing things there. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us today, and hope to see you all at the